a little white lie now and again, like, yeah, it was great, but he did have 3 balls. I just feel like that's probably okay. Hi loves, welcome to Love What Luck and welcome from my new set. I'm so excited. Finally I'm recording from my new space and from my orange sofa. I'm loving it. Finally, it's still a little bit bare. There's still a bit more bits to come. Don't worry, it's gonna look a little bit better. But I'm very excited that I'm finally in my new space. If you've been a day one, you would have followed me around 4 flat moves with this podcast. You followed me from corners of tiny bedrooms to coffee tables in huge, like, echoey living rooms, and we've never had a full Love What Luck space, but finally I feel like we've got it and I'm very excited. So yeah, welcome. Another new bit of news I've got is that the YouTube episodes are going to come out in the morning, because I was putting out the podcast on Spotify, Apple, wherever, like the audio version, for 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. But for YouTube YouTube viewers, for some reason I was thinking nobody can watch a YouTube video until after 5 p.m. And now that I'm on a new schedule myself, I realise that that's not true. So if you want to put me on your morning workout when you're on the treadmill via video, you can now. If you want me whilst you're making breakfast, you can. For the commute, you do what you gotta do, but you can have this face in the morning now too if you like. I'm gonna put the videos on YouTube first thing. And yeah, that's it basically. If you are watching on YouTube, please remember to subscribe, obviously. But yeah, we're coming out first thing every Tuesday morning and I'm very excited. And I just have to go straight in and say that I am a little bit tipsy this week. I had a full plan to record this week's episode and then go out to meet my friends for drinks. However, as soon as I started to record earlier, it just didn't happen. It was one thing after the other. I was being interrupted. My phone was going off. The battery went. It was just one thing after another. And I thought, you know what, it's fine. I'm only going for one drink. And then I'm coming back. And I want to know if anyone out there has ever said to themselves and looked themselves straight in the mirror, straight in the eye and said, I'm only going for one drink. If you've ever seen that through, then please do write into me. Because as far as I'm concerned, going out for one drink is a lie. It's a myth. It's a non-existent thing. It's a folk's tale that may or may not be true. That's been passed on through generations, and we all believe it wholeheartedly. We believe it, but I actually don't think it's ever been a true story for anyone. So, at least not me. But if it has happened to you, then let me know. But anyway, needless to say, I needed to record today, otherwise it'll make me feel like rubbish tomorrow. I mean, I've only had 3 drinks, but I am a bit of a lightweight. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm feeling I'm a little bit tipsy, a little bit loose, a little bit happy. And I thought, it is what it is. You guys know the vibes. You guys love the vibes. We are the vibes. So let's just record it when I'm in this merry experience. I'm probably going to edit this back with anxiety, but you know, it is what it is. Let's go straight into this week's story. My boyfriend of 3 years broke up with me over Messenger and immediately started dating a new girl. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to read that again. My boyfriend of 3 years broke up with me over Messenger and immediately started dating a new girl. No, I can't deal. He actually introduced me to her when I visited him once, and I remember feeling really awkward around her and not understanding why. I think we all understand why now. We haven't even made it to the end of the story, but I'm guessing I know why you felt awkward. Wow. Okay, she says, anyway, I was the one who made the post-breakup time horrible. I went batshit for a few months and pulled all the ridiculous, crazy ex-girlfriend stunts, sending long, weepy emails, leaving ridiculous voicemails while crying hysterically. Oh no. Spreading vicious rumours to all our mutual friends, you name it, I did it. I mean, the word vicious rumours, I don't know what that could be, it sounds pretty bad, but all I'm saying is, if a little slip of the tongue says, yeah, I'm sad we broke up, but he wasn't that big, I think that's okay given the circumstance. You know, like that episode of Sex and the City with Carrie and Berger. So they break up and then Carrie sees Berger's friends in the nightclub and they talking and she says, oh yeah, Berger and I broke up. And his friend says something like, oh, that's a shame. And she wants a reaction. Now, when you were going through heartbreak and you tell the heartbreak to somebody who knows you and your partner and they just like, oh, that's a shame. Well, anyway, do you want a drink? And you're like, I am going through the worst pain I have ever felt. And you've got the audacity to look at me and offer me a drink. You're like, I need you to feel something. And that's what Carrie does. And that's what I imagine this girl does. And Carrie says, yeah, it's sad, but, you know, he wasn't that good in bed. And then it's like, as soon as it comes out of her mouth, she goes over to her friends and she's like, we need to leave immediately. But I just think in those moments, like, if my friend broke up with her boyfriend, right, and then I was out for a drink and her boyfriend came up to me and said, yeah, well, I don't know, it's probably for the best anyway, she always used to cry, like, around her period, or she was always mourning anyway. I'd be like, do you know what? Obviously, don't be disrespectful about my friend, but also, like, you're going through it. And sometimes you just gotta allow the vicious room and the pain. It's like you gotta just deal with it however you want to deal. So obviously I'm not advocating actual vicious rumours that could get somebody arrested. But, you know, a little white lie now and again, like, yeah, it was great, but he did have 3 balls. I just feel like that's probably okay. Depending on who you're saying it to. They're probably just like, I know you're lying, but you do you, boo. You know? I mean, the emails and the crying voice notes, I'd probably be more concerned about those. But no, breakups are the worst. Anyway, we'll come back to it. So she's gone crazy for a while. She says, the good news is I've learned a lot about how not to be a crazy person since then. And we are actually on good terms now somehow. I have even given him relationship advice. Oh no. He needed help getting out of the 2-year relationship he started right after me. Of course he did. Oh, God. And since then, I had dated a few guys and learned how to successfully be a breaker-upper. Okay, well, I think the ultimate lesson there is growth. Obviously, congrats. You've grown a lot as a person from that person sending emails, which I can only imagine you do when you're blocked on all other channels. The thought of writing a personal email to somebody, I don't think I've ever done that before because emails to me are strictly for work, business. You know, if you speak to me via email, you're not getting my true tone of voice even or my personality. So the fact that you're emailing your feels to somebody, I can only imagine you've been blocked. Crying voicemails, you know, it's not the best, but breakups, guys, I think breakups and also when you first fall in love with somebody, those 2 feelings are like the strongest feels you can imagine. And then they say, is that saying that there's a very fine line between love and hate? That's what I think that line is. Like, when you truly love someone and when you're in that moment, it does not matter what they do or what somebody says about them. Like, we all talk about icks, but let me tell you, you will not get an ick from somebody that you are actually head over heels in love with. You just won because you're blinded by it. And you could be so in love with somebody and they could say, do you know, I did see him chatting up the bar woman. And you're like, yeah, we can talk to other people. It's fine. It was just a bar woman. He's probably ordering drinks. And they're like, oh no, but I did actually see him touch her breast and they were exchanging numbers and she was actually whispering in his ear. And you can be like, it's loud in the club and he was probably whispering to her. And did he actually touch her breast or was he saying to her to cover up because of other men? Like, you'll just make excuses because you're falling in love. And then equally, I think when the feelings are that strong, when you break up with someone, the love just turns into hate. And you can just hate them and it makes you so upset and volatile. And I just think whatever you do in a breakup, honestly, and this is also like if you break up with somebody else and the way they are behaving, you've got to show some compassion because the shit that you feel is, I just feel like it's something that you can't control, and you don't know what you're going through. Like, you don't know, you haven't felt it before, and you can't process it, and you're acting quicker than your brain can like allow you to handle. Do you know what I mean? I'm probably explaining it wrong, but yeah, I just think however you act in breakups, you've just gotta let it go. That's what you in a breakup is, a different version of you. That person is like drunk you. You know, like sometimes when you go out and you're drunk and you wake up the next day and they're like, oh my God, do you remember grinding up on your boss last night? It's like, no, that was drunk me. I don't associate with that person. That's breakup you as well, I think. They're another person. They're the person that cries. They're the person that binge eats. They're the person that, you know, looks themselves in the mirror and gets upset. But they're also the person that sleeps around. They're the person that shouts at their ex. They're the person that tries to get in rebounds. Like, and you've just got to let that person be, I think. The person that we don't need to let be is the partner of 3 years breaking up with you over Messenger. I'm sorry. Messenger for me is a place of memes, quite frankly. The only thing I like to send and receive in Messenger and DMs is memes. Joy, quick laughter, clickbait, fun. Tell me what restaurant you want me to go to. Show me a meme. Show me a clip from a film I've recently watched and I love. Show me the greatest moments of The Office US, which I've never watched, by the way, but best believe I watch every TikTok that I see of the US Office highlights. It doesn't matter. That's what the DMs are for. My DMs are open, but purely for that. They are not open for my boyfriend of 3 years to break up with me. I'm sorry, that is so bang out of order, and it doesn't matter how cowardly you are. There's a better way to do it than that. Phone call for starters. Look, I've broken up with a guy via phone call before. It's not been my best moment, but it was during COVID. But it's like sometimes I think over the phone is fine, because I've also broken up with boyfriends in person. And really, you're only doing it for them, because when you're there in person, then you break up, it's so awkward. I think I've said this story before where I broke up with one boyfriend and he couldn't drive, and then he wanted to go and see his best friend who was working, and he was like, will you drop me off to him? So I broke up with this guy. He handed me all these photos of us and was like, I don't want these, you keep them. And then at the end of it went on for about an hour, and like, not to be a heartless bitch, but I was like, I really need to get going. He was like, right, will you drive me to like my friend's place of work? And I was like, yeah, of course. So we broke up. We were breaking up for an hour, and then I had to leave, and I had to hop into a car with this man and drive him in silence to his friend, and then drop him off, and then we had to say goodbye again in the car. So awkward. But still, even that is better than just breaking up with someone over Messenger. Like, I don't even think you cancel someone off. Like, at least bring it to WhatsApp, you know? WhatsApp or iMessenger. Don't bring it to a social media app. 3 years, guys. 3 years, can I just say, is like the span... Oh, I had another lisp then. Is like the span of my longest relationship. Well, 3.5 years. But 3 years is a long time. And I'm sorry, you just cannot break up with somebody over Messenger. Second thing that we can't forgive, obviously, is if the person you break up with starts dating somebody else immediately after. I'm sorry, there's gotta be some foul play beforehand. There's gotta be. Like, if I was to break up with my boyfriend now, the only person I'd be able to get into a relationship with is somebody that was desperate and crazy, i.e. somebody that I met the next day and said, look, I'm recently single, do you want to be my boyfriend? And they said, yeah, okay. Oh, that's a red flag in itself. That's a whole other conversation in itself. So unless they're also like batshit crazy, which they won't be, you know that there's got to be some legwork going on beforehand, because you've got to build up the physical connection, obviously, which can happen. Obviously, like, you can fancy somebody when you're with somebody else. Obviously, that's like natural. But to actually get in a relationship with them, you've got to build up the emotional connection. So it's got to be very clear, like, we fancy each other. Yeah, I've got a partner, but I'm going to be breaking up with them. I'm not happy. let's see where this is going. Let's see it through. There's gotta be something. So he was probably cheating on her. And what an absolute smack in the face. I'm breaking up with you over Messenger. I've got a new girlfriend who I've blatantly been cheating on. And, yeah, deal with it, basically. How she became friends with him, I don't know. But I think that says a lot about your character. If you can, you know, be friends. And also, like, I think it's quite nice for both of you. Like, he's done wrong. You haven't done wrong by acting crazy, but you've done something that you're like maybe a bit ashamed of or embarrassed of. So it's kind of nice that you've become friends after. But I mean, I do like that you're friends after, but is there any need for it? I think like show that you can be normal with somebody. Like I said, when I had my really toxic ex, we've definitely spoken since and we've been very friendly. But are we friends? Absolutely not. There's like literally no need for it. There's no need for it. But, you know, you do you. Wow, look at me. So judgmental after 3 drinks. But, I don't know. I think if I was staying close friends with an ex, like close enough friends with an ex that I would message them with relationship struggles, I think I would only do that if there was a small part inside me that thought maybe we'll get back together one day. That's just me. We have had stories before where people have been friends with exes, so there's no judgment from there my side, but I just can't relate to it. Actually, on the notes of breakups, on the point of breakups, I should say, my friend sent me a voice note earlier about her friend, right? It's a very juicy tea voice note story, and she said that her friend broke up with a long-term partner. Yeah, I don't know why, but they broke up, and then she had a fling with another guy, and it was basically just sex, like just sexual, but she said it was like the best sex she'd ever had, right? And she was on about all this stuff. She even said that they used a vice, and at first I was like, what, vice? That sounds aggressive. But when I actually tell you about it, low-key sounds kind of hot. But it's basically like apparently they put the vice in and the guy or the girl or whatever controls when the legs open. So it's a very like explorative, don't even know if that's a word, but explorative sexual relationship, right? And it was amazing. And now she's back with her ex. Who she obviously has the emotional connection with, and she just says it's not the same. Obviously, I mean, if you're in a situation where your legs are being controlled by somebody else and then you're going back into bed with somebody that's just doing it at 10 p.m. every night and is just rolling you over, it's not going to compare. But here's the real talking point that I wanted to discuss. This girl said that even though they had this amazing, like hot, exciting, very new type of sex, she said the best type of sex they had was when they were making love, sweet, sweet love. And she said, like, there was, you know, they really felt this connection, and he cried as they had sex. And for a bit of background, my friend who told me this is now living in America, so these are American people. And my friend was like, he cried, really? They're in a group of, say, 4 people, girls. All of the other girls were like to my friend, what, a guy has never cried with you? And she was like, no, absolutely not. So my friend messages me, has a guy ever cried when he's having sex with you? Because this is what's happened, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, and quite frankly, if he did, I would be horrified. So I've got to put this down to cultural differences, because generally British men are very serious, and our whole culture is quite serious, I think, and it's very sarcastic laughter, whereas Americans are much more emotional, and that you can take that in any way. They're very expressive, aren't they? So I put it down to that, but then me and my friend was like, if all the guys, like 4 girls, have all had 1 or more guys that have cried having sex with them, like, are we just bad in bed or what? But honestly, if a guy cried to me during sex, it would be an ick for me. And I'm sorry for any guys that are listening, like, if you feel emotional, please, I really don't want to put you off feeling that, because I really actually love when men are man enough, to use like a social term, to get emotional. I'm very welcoming of that. But I just think if a guy cried down sex, my immediate thought would be he's not over an ex, he's going through something. I would never think he's crying because he loves this moment with me. I would obviously just be, well, not obviously, but for me, I would just be thinking, there's got to be another reason, yeah. He's gay, like, and he's crying because he doesn't want to sleep with me. He's crying because he's not over his ex. He's crying because he feels ashamed of what he's just done because he's in some sort of religious cult. I don't know. There's a reason other than he just loves me. And when I was telling my friend this, and she was agreeing with me, but I said to her, I was like, I'm not even a make love person. I'm really not. And she was like, that's very off-brand for you, because I'm so romantic, and like, I love a love story and I love a happy ending, and I have such clear ideas in my head, which I kind of hate sometimes, about how love is perfect and is so romantic and whatever. But guys, when it comes to sex, I'm just going to throw it out there, I don't need love. Just like slap me and call me a bitch. Done, really, that's a joke. Obviously, please, no one take that seriously, especially you, ma'am. But that's what I said to my friend. She was laughing. But it's like, I just don't need that. I've had at least 2 or 3 people say to me that they love me during sex. 2 of them have been boyfriends, and one of them was a guy who blatantly wasn't in love with me. And I don't know if he said it because he thought it was going to flatter me, like we weren't in love, but he said it to me, and I was like, ew, I don't want you to fall in love with me whilst I'm here. No, thank you. If I wanted us to be in love, I'd be dating him and we'd be going boyfriend and girlfriend. But also, I've had boyfriends say it to me, and I still haven't said it back, because I'm just like, I just don't want that. It's just, for me, sex is not a place of love, which I know sounds so crazy. It sounds so crazy because I'm also not the type of person, not I judge it, but I'm also not like a one night stand type of gal at all. Again, not I've got any problems with either of these things, but for me, so it's very weird how I can be so like cutthroat with it, but also done, like, for me personally, wouldn't just have sex like with anyone. Like, I can have sex with somebody I'm in love with, but would I ever tell them I love them whilst I'm sleeping with them? Absolutely not. And would I want them to tell me? No. I'm like that that meme of the girl in the car seat when she's like, ew. That's me. It's just not for me, guys. But please let me know your thoughts. I'm going to put this on my Instagram. To be fair, I'm probably going to put it out before even this episode comes out. So make sure you're following me at Sadie Maltby and at Love What Luck, because sometimes I'll just put stuff on there that will come up obviously before the episodes. But I would really love to hear your guys' opinions on this. I feel like, and I hate myself for saying this, but I feel like it's more common for girls to be crying after sex, because for the same reason I think a guy would. They hang up on their ex, they regret sleeping with you, they're in another bad mood with themselves, and they've acted out by sleeping with a stranger, and now they're feeling remorseful. That's why I associate crying and sex with remorse. So I find that quite normal, and I find that okay, and I don't find it cringe. And I hate myself because I was just speaking to a boy listener in the DMs earlier, and I was saying, like, I really don't want to be, obviously I create content and stuff, and I don't, as much as sometimes I want to believe in stuff, I don't believe in like the happy ending and a girl has to do this and a boy has to do this, because it's just not what life is like, and I really don't want to project that message. So I feel bad myself for saying it, and obviously it's not every girl, because there's plenty of girls out there who love a guy crying, but it's just not for me. But please do let me know your thoughts, because I'd be very interested to hear that. Also, talking about what I share on my Instagram, I put a picture up on my Instagram this week of the laser hair removal machine, and I was like, round 2, if you know, you know, because I thought I'm not going to say on my Instagram that I've had laser hair removal on my vagina. There's a time and a place, and that time is the podcast. The time and the place is here, but it's not for my Instagram. So I just say, if you know, you know, because I'm like, obviously my true Love What Luck OG listeners will obviously follow me on Instagram. So anyway, but a few people messaged me saying, well, actually, A few people messaged me saying, what you haven't done. And then my cousin messaged me saying she thought I was having a colonoscopy. And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm definitely not. But this will be the last I speak of it, I hope. I did have my round 2 of laser, and I just want to say that I hope I haven't scared you off before from having it, because actually the second time was much more pleasant. It was fine. I wasn't jumping around. It wasn't as painful. She did touch me, but I was obviously prepared for it. So, yeah, the second time was good. But as I was lying there, nude, being, I basically have to shut my eyes. I'm not like the dogs that hide. Not like if you tell a dog off, like my sister's chihuahua does it. It's like the family chihuahua. It's like if you tell him off, he like crouches down and doesn't look at you. Because he's like, if you can't see me, no, he's like, if I can't see you, you can't see me. That's how I feel when I'm getting laser. I just close my eyes and I'm like, and I do this when I get a smear as well. I'm like, if I close my eyes and I can't see you and I can't see the room, then you can't see me. It's like a way of disassociating yourself, isn't it? But as I was lying there, I was thinking to myself how exposed us women are. Because we do have to have smears. We have like random strangers. Guys, I had a follow-up smear before by an old man. And it's very, very unsettling. It's one thing to have a woman inside your vagina, but to have like a random man inside it is just not nice. I know he's a professional, and I know if I was uncomfortable enough and I said, I'm sure they would have swapped it for me and brought me a woman, but he didn't make me feel uncomfortable. But it's just like, when you're a girl, you are just so exposed. Like, how many people have seen my vagina? Like, off the top of my head, 5 complete strangers. And that's recent smears, that's recent laser treatments, wherever. When we get older, we have to have mammograms, we have to get our breasts out, and we have to get them squashed and squished in a machine. And it's just very invasive, and there's no real point to the story other than women have to go through a lot. And I just, men don't have to go for regular penis checkups. They just don't. I know they've got to check their balls, I know that, and that is a big thing, but that's like breast cancer. You haven't got to go, well, you have actually for mammograms. Well, I don't know, maybe regular dick checks should be in shape then, because yeah, I don't know. But my point is, like, with smears, I guess they are kind of optional, but not really. Like, they're not really optional. Like, you have to go. And they're just really unpleasant. And I've had, like, follow-up smears, and it's just not very nice, basically. And I don't know. We just get it hard, guys, don't we? Girls. We get it hard, and I just don't think men understand. Also, birth. There's nothing more soul destroying and what's the word, not embarrassing, there's a word and I can't think of it, but that basically just makes you feel shit than birth. Like, when I saw my sister give birth and my auntie said after, I remember feeling Brody say it, I was like, I couldn't be further away from the truth. Horrifying, absolutely horrifying. Obviously beautiful gifts brought in after, blah blah blah. I'm very, pro children. My 2 nephews, loves of my life. So, But if I had an option to be pregnant or not, or them arrive by stalk over the night sky, and I wake up in the morning to them in a little a napkin bag, obviously I would choose that. Okay, so I was watching James Bond earlier because my boyfriend was watching it, and you know what, I've never given James Bond a chance other than Skyfall, which I happened to watch by accident once and I absolutely loved it. Now I've seen it 18 million times, but for some reason I'm still against James Bond. Anyway, we were watching, like when you're watching something, you have to Google what actors in it, what year the film came out, what other film you've seen that actor in, for me, whenever I see a guy, I'm like, I've seen him before and I need to know immediately what he was in. That's why I love Amazon. When you press pause, Amazon Prime, it shows you. So straight away I'm on Google. I'm like, what have I seen him in? I'm like, oh yeah, and it's a rabbit hole. Anyway, we ended up getting on the fact that Daniel Craig is married to Rachel Weisz, or Rachel Weisz. I don't know how you pronounce it. Either way, I love her. And so as I was Googling, because I knew he was married to Rachel Weisz, but he thought he was married to someone else. Anyway, as I'm Googling, guys, it came up that she and him had a baby when she was 48. 48 years old. Can you believe that? Like an actual natural birth, I believe, at 48. And it just made me feel really good. I just thought, look, I know there's obviously health complications when you have kids older, like I know all that, but obviously I'm in my 30s now and I really don't feel anywhere ready to like settle down in that way, to buy the house, to have a baby. Like I just don't feel ready for it. I really don't. And, you know, obviously everyone has their biological clock, and I think some people are more in tune to it than others, because I think deep down, you know, if I didn't ever have children, I think I would be okay. And I know some people, obviously, they really want kids from a young age, so obviously it's more for them. But I just think, like, Kourtney Kardashian's recently had a baby older. Like, I come from a family where they've had kids older, so I think that's probably why I feel the way I do. Like, my mother had me when she was 40, my sister had her babies later, my cousin had her babies later, so I kind of come from that background. But sometimes I just think it's nice. Obviously, the majority of my listeners are women, and I just think it's nice to have a little reminder that, my God, it doesn't matter if you haven't got everything set out by a certain age, and you can still find love at 48. Like, they were both, her and Daniel Craig were both married before. They both had a child before, and then they both divorced. And yeah, you can argue and say, yeah, but they're famous, they can get wherever they want. I actually think it's harder to find somebody when you're famous. But still, yeah, even if they could get anyone they wanted, they still need to be with somebody that they get on with and that there's a connection with, you know? So, I don't know, I just kind of read that and I thought, oh, this is like not the stories we hear about enough. So, obviously, I just feel like it's my responsibility to bring it to you guys. And it reminded me of a story I got sent ages ago. And I think I shared it on my personal Instagram, but like, just as a story, but I wanted to read it out you because, yeah, I just remembered about it and I just thought it tied in perfectly. So this is a story I got a few months back from somebody, and she said, after 2 failed marriages and a particularly bad breakup, my self-esteem was through the floor. After a few months, my friend suggested I tried a dating app. The thought of it made me feel sick. However, one evening I was home alone and had a few beers. Bit of Dutch courage, you gotta love it. And an advert for Facebook dating popped up on my timeline. Meant to be. I threw caution to the wind and set up a profile. There were a few shockers on there, but I very quickly clicked with a guy who lived locally to me. Our first date was a walk in the local park, and we walked and talked like we'd known each other all our lives. We had so much in common and the chemistry was electric. We've now been together almost 2 years and moved in together last year. He is the love of my life, and I was 48 when I met him. Don't give up if you want love. Guys, preach that. That's all I'm saying, because the fact that we all grow up thinking we need to be married and in love by 30, and that person that we're in love with when we're 30 has to be the person we're with for our whole lives. No, let's normalise, because it is very normal. Like, divorces are very normal. So, like, let's normalise breaking up. Let's normalise marrying the wrong person and still being able to find love when you're older. Because as much as, like, there are, you know, changes out there, I still think deep in all our souls, the thought of being 48 and single probably scares most of us, at least for women, which I hate, but it probably does. And I just think when I hear stories like that, imagine she had 2 failed marriages. Imagine how easy it would be for her to give up on love after 2 failed marriages. Like, my God, so easy. But she hasn't. She's gone out there. She's been willing to meet somebody else. And she said, finally, 3rd time lucky at 48, I know myself, and finally I've got it right. And I do kind of think, and this is no shade to anyone that's met somebody when they're younger, obviously, but for me, I'm such a different person now than I was like 5 years ago. It's like, it kind of makes sense for you to meet the one when you get older, when there's like less prone changes. Obviously you can still change as you get older, but like there's less big life things now. Usually by the time you're 48, like you've got your career, usually. Again, nothing wrong if you want to change it, But like usually you've got more stuff in check or whatever, and you know what you want, and you certainly know what you don't want, and it kind of makes sense to find love at that age. And I just love it. And you know me, I always want to try and bring a different kind of voice here. So yeah, I love that story. And I wanted to bring it back to the podcast. Also, I think it's interesting to note that breakups do put your self-esteem through the floor. And like as she said, and it's so shit that they do that, because like I think I've said this before, but you're a full, whole, happy person usually before you meet somebody else. So I don't know what it is about you getting with somebody else and you becoming so attached to them wherever, that being without them makes you almost feel afraid. And I hate that, because you were a person before they came along, and for some reason it's quite easy to forget that person. Yeah, and I don't really know what the way around that is. I guess like keeping your identity when you're with somebody is very important. I have lost that I think I lost that in my relationship now, when I moved into a place or into an area that I didn't really want to live, and I definitely felt like I lost myself a little bit in that space, because I wasn't in my kind of comfort place. I didn't have much comfort. And yes, really, no, it's not nice. So yeah, I guess sometimes it can't be helped. Like sometimes you do it for love. Like people move away because their partners had new jobs somewhere, or like for me, I moved into another place because it kind of made sense for the relationship, and it made sense for us too, even as separate people. But you know, yeah, ultimately, I think you have to try and keep your own identity in a relationship. Otherwise, then might feel a bit stuck if things are wrong. You feel like you can't leave, or even if you are with somebody, if you lose your identity, it's not much fun, is it? If you can't remember what you were like before. And I think it also just shows like that love, doesn't always work out the way we planned. I've said this before, but it's so ingrained in us how love should be, and how friendship should be, and how all relationships should be. And I think all you gotta do is step into one person's life and realize, like, literally it doesn't work out like it does in the films, or like we told it should. And like I said before, you can see on Instagram somebody in the most perfect, best relationship, and oh my God, he booked her a holiday for her birthday, and he's done this and that. And then when you're in that relationship, it's like so many other things that are wrong, So yeah, I think we just always have to keep a clear head, and yeah, I think stay true to yourself. Oh my God, I always end on self-help vibe. But anyway, guys, thank you for listening. Please remember to follow, subscribe. This is the thing, right? I'm low on stories at the minute, and the more people that see the stories that I'm sharing on this week's episode, whether that's by word of mouth, whether you're sharing an episode, if you're subscribing or if you're following, then obviously it puts me higher up into people's search options. The more people that get exposed to these stories, then the more we get sent. So it's literally needed to keep the whole thing going. So yeah, if you're not following me, or if you haven't left me a review, or if you're watching this, just give it a like, a comment, wherever. Yeah, it's just a massive help for me, and obviously it makes my day. Like my literal day is made when I see a nice comment, and I usually just post them on my Instagram as well because they make me so happy. But also it just helps you guys, helps us get more fresh stories. So yeah, please do that. But as always, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully I haven't been too tipsy. I feel like I've sobered up a little bit as the episode's gone on, but I would just love another glass of wine, I think. just before bed. So who knows, maybe I'll go and do that now. But yeah, have a good week, guys, and I will speak to you next Tuesday.